今でも動揺していられないわよ。
The Kyoto animation arson attack occurred at Kyoto Animation Studio 1 building in the Fushimi ward of Kyoto, Kyoto Prefecture, Japan, on the morning of July 18, 2019. The arson killed 36 people, injured an additional 34, including the suspect, and destroyed most of the materials and computers in Studio 1. It is one of the deadliest massacres in Japan since the end of World War II, the deadliest building fire in Japan since the 2001 Myojo 56 building fire, and the first massacre ever to have occurred at a studio associated with an entertainment company in the animation industry.
This is so outrageous, hearing this was caused by arson, regardless what the motivation could have been. I feel anger towards the suspect.
I never thought such an incident could take place in Kyoto, of all places, and especially in this area. I wonder what grudge the suspect was holding.
The suspect, who did not work for the studio, entered the front door carrying about 40 liters, 11 U.S. gallons of gasoline, then doused the area and several employees before igniting it. After setting himself on fire while lighting the fuel, the suspect attempted to flee, but was apprehended by police about 100 meters, 330 feet from the building. Witnesses stated they heard him accusing the studio of plagiarism. After awaiting his recovery from life-threatening burns for more than 10 months, the police arrested 42-year-old Shinji Aoba on suspicion of murder and other offenses on May 27, 2020. He was formally indicted on December 16, 2020. Aoba eventually pled guilty to the charges on September 5, 2023, and was sentenced to death on January 25, 2024. Kyoto Animation is one of Japan's most acclaimed anime studios, known for titles such as The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, K-On!, Clannad, and Nichijou. The building was used mainly by the animation production staff and was constructed in 2007. The fire began with an explosion at around 10:31 a.m., 1:31 UTC, when the perpetrator walked into Studio 1 and set the building on fire with 40 liters, 11 U.S. gallons of gasoline. The perpetrator bought the gasoline 10 kilometers, 6 miles away from the building, and it was believed that he walked to the building with the gasoline being carried on a platform trolley. The police believe that the gasoline dispersed on site, mixed with the air, causing the explosion at the start. The perpetrator is reported to have been shouting, "Die! Die!" as he carried out the attack. He also poured gasoline over some individuals before setting them alight, setting himself on fire in the process, causing them to run out into the street in flames. As the fire grew by the entrance, staff members were trapped inside the building. 20 bodies were found on the stairs from the 3rd floor to the roof, evidently indicating that the victims were attempting to escape. Tomoaki Nishino, associate professor at Disaster Prevention Research Institute of Kyoto University, estimated that the 2nd and 3rd floors were almost filled with smoke within 30 seconds of the explosion. The perpetrator fled the scene but was chased by 2 Kyoto Animation employees and soon collapsed on the street, where he was apprehended by police. Multiple unused knives were found lying by the scene. The fire was under control at 3 p.m., 6:19 UTC, and extinguished at 6:20 a.m. on the next day, 21:20 UTC. The building did not have fire sprinklers or indoor fire hydrants due to its classification as a small office building, but had no deficiencies in fire safety compliance during its last inspection on October 17, 2018. Initial reports claimed the studio's entrance required employee pass cards, but the door was left unlocked as the studio was expecting visitors. However, this was inaccurate. There was no security system in place, and the door was always left unlocked during business hours. The arson attack destroyed most of Kyoto Animation's materials and computers in Studio One, though a small portion of keyframes were on exhibition in Tokushima and hence spared destruction. On July 29th, Kyoto Animation reported that it successfully recovered some digitized original drawings from a server that survived the fire. Initially, it was reported that 34 people had been killed, before 2 more later died at a hospital. Autopsy results released on July 22, 2019, revealed that a majority of victims had succumbed to burns rather than carbon monoxide poisoning due to the quick spreading fire. DNA testing was done to aid in identifications, which lasted up to a week after the attack. It was reported that 2/3 of the victims, at least 20, were women, as the studio was known for hiring female animators. Discussions were ongoing with Kyoto Animation on if, when, and how to reveal the identities of the deceased. Some of the families released their own findings early to the media regarding the status of their loved ones. The family of color designer Naomi Ishida confirmed her death on July 24th. Animator, scriptwriter, and director Yoshihiro Takamoto was confirmed dead by his family through DNA testing on July 26th. The first post-fire death occurred on July 27th, which brought the number of deceased to 35. On August 2nd, Kyoto police released the names of 10 victims, whose funerals had finished and relatives' consents obtained, and it was confirmed on the same day that animation directors Yoshiji Kagami and Futoshi Nishiya were among the dead. The remaining 25 victims were officially revealed on August 27th, as the social impact of the case became a factor.
初めて最後の字幕でスタッフの名前が出るのに
小さい頃から喘息でね
苦しんだったからね。
7月下旬、幸恵さんの葬儀が営まれた。娘の最後を見届けようと、この時初めて幸恵さんの遺体と対面していた。
面倒も取ったけどね。やっぱり親やからでしょうかね。ちゃんとしておかなあかん。
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe expressed his condolences and stated that he was speechless at the scale of the disaster. A first in Japanese corporate history, a measure was passed in the national diet to allow for donations to the studio to be tax exempt.
Tax exemption!
The demolition process of the building was completed on April 28, 2020, with no further plans for the site revealed. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency and National Police Agency issued a notice on July 25, 2019, requiring gas stations to maintain sales records of people purchasing gasoline in refillable containers, which conform to fire safety regulations. Each record is to contain the buyer's personal information, such as name, address, the purpose of the purchase, and the quantity purchased. Although the notice had no legal backing, most buyers complied with this additional requirement voluntarily. This measure was formalized with the relevant regulations revised and coming into force on February 1st, 2020 to make the sales records mandatory. Investigators said Aoba is a high school graduate who attended evening school. They also said he worked part-time at the Saitama prefectural government for 3 years until 1998. His father died when he was 21 years old. After that, he lost contact with his siblings, and it is believed he lived alone. Aoba went from job to job and was later involved in a robbery. He was admitted to a rehabilitation facility for offenders in Saitama City in 2016 when he was 38. Aoba was in that facility for 6 months. After that, he's believed to have lived alone in an apartment in Saitama City for about 3 years. The resident of the apartment next door says Aoba banged on his door 4 days before the arson attack and blamed him for a noise that was coming from a different unit. Although the resident tried to explain that he was not making the noise, he said Aoba suddenly grabbed him by the collar. He said he found it impossible to communicate with the defendant. Aoba admitted to having started the fire for revenge, accusing the studio of ripping off or plagiarizing his novels. Initially, company president Hideki Hata had stated that there was no record of anyone submitting work to their annual writing contest under Aoba's name. Subsequently, Kyoto Animation revealed that they had received a draft novel from Aoba. However, it did not pass the first stage assessment and was forgotten, and its contents were confirmed to have no meaningful similarities to any of their published works. The following scenes from Kyoto Animation works that Aoba claims were plagiarized. In Free, a school banner reading "Swimming Club advances to regional tournament" is blown in the wind, and a banner for the judo club can be seen below. In Aoba's novel, there are scenes where banners appear. In Sarune, when a character puts meat in their shopping cart, another character finds meat at a 20% discount. In Aoba's novel, there's a scene where the heroine buys deli dishes at a 50% discount. In K-On!, a character says to a junior, "I repeated a grade." In Aoba's novel, there is a scene where a high school boy is told by his teacher, "If you continue like this, you'll repeat the grade." Most of Aoba's burned skin was replaced with experimental artificial skin, as the victims were prioritized to receive donor human skin first. This was the first use of artificial skin on significant burns in Japan. On May 12, 2023, the Kyoto District Court announced that Aoba would stand trial in September 2023, and that a verdict would be announced in January 2024. Aoba pleaded guilty to the charges on September 5th, 2023, and on December 7th, the prosecutors announced they would be seeking the death penalty for Aoba.
I just want him to suffer and die. If he's so cheerful, then just kill him. Why do I have to survive? That's not right.
On January 25th, 2024, the court announced that Aoba had been sentenced to death. The day after, Aoba filed an appeal against the death sentence. Aoba told a local press that he accepted the death sentence, but he went ahead with the appeal as he wanted to speak out. On January 28th, 2025, Aoba's death sentence was finalized after he withdrew his appeal to the Kyoto District Court's ruling. On March 17, 2026, the Osaka High Court ruled that Aoba's withdrawal of his appeal was valid. After the disaster, the Kyoto Municipal Fire Department formulated guidelines for evacuation in the event of arson or terrorism and encouraged the installation of evacuation ladders.